Pirates failed to complete the sweep as Ashcraft and Lodolo traded punches in a solid pitcher's duel. You're listening to the North Shore 9, presented by FanDuel. Hello and welcome to the North Shore 9 post-game show powered by Permani Brothers. I'm Cody. That's Nathan making his second appearance on the post-game show. Nathan, how are we doing today?
Pretty good. This is actually my first appearance. Got called off. Called up off of the taxi squad today.
I thought you did one this year.
No, not. I was close to, but Jim was able to fill in for me, so Doug didn't have to deal with me that day.
That's where the confusion was.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I said in our little soft intro there, pitcher's duel today. Pirates lose 2-1, but Nick Lodolo, Braxton Ashcraft, if you like pitching, this was the game for you.
Yeah, this series, the first two games is very odd to watch. Both teams just trade blows on offense. But today it was just the Nick Lodolo show. And I mean, I told you when we were waiting to do this, Braxton Ashcraft had a great game as well. But Nick Lodolo just killed the Pirates today. And this is a guy that literally, I just told you, gave me 30 points in my fantasy baseball championship. So he excelled when the lights were bright in this game, at least for the Cincinnati Reds, because this was a game the Reds desperately needed to at least try to salvage. But the Pirates still take the series, so that's good for the Buccos. So
good for the Buccos, good for the Mets.
Yeah, sadly,
hopefully, I guess. I mean, hey, at least the Reds are going to have to claw their way back into the wild card instead of somebody else. I don't know. This is a rough game, and as I said before we got on here, this is a flu game for me. I'm not feeling too well, if you can hear it in my voice. But I do have to shout out our guy Ryan, who is red hot. I know we give him crap whenever he's down, so we got to give him praise when he's up. He had Pirates under 3.5 on FanDuel today with the odds of -115. He hits. I don't know how many that is in a row for him. Do you?
I think it's 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken.
It's definitely 3. I don't know.
He's on a streak, so
he's streaking. He's getting hot when it matters most, I guess.
Yeah, we're officially on a streak with Ryan, so good for him. He's winning some money. So
there he goes. He said, "Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while." But anyway, let's get into this, and let's start with what we've been talking about, this pitching. Let's start with Ashcraft first. You had some thoughts about him before we got on here. Why don't you get into those thoughts about how his season's gone?
Yeah, Braxton Ashcraft, if this is his last outing, he's going to finish with a 2.71 ERA. Really good rookie season for Braxton Ashcraft, even in the loss today. 4-4 record, but we all know with Paul Skeens, I don't really care about pitching records. But a 2.71 ERA for a guy that a lot of us have known in the minor leagues to have some injury concerns. He stayed healthy all season. Like I said, if this is his last one, great season for Ashcraft. He ended up going only 4 1/3 today, allowed the 8 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. For a majority of this game until the inning, which we'll talk about in the 5th, he was basically dealing against the Cincinnati Reds. Him and Nick Lodolo were basically trading blows against each other's teams, and they were both carving up each other's lineups, of course, until that 5th inning. But nothing but props to Braxton Ashcraft. And I was telling you before we started this, I feel like it's crazy. Ever since Bubba Chandler came up, it's nothing against Bubba or anything, but Braxton Ashcraft's rookie season is kind of being overshadowed by the rest of these Pirates rookies. Hunter Barco just came up. Everyone's talking about Hunter Barco. Mike Burrows, Carmen Majinski even's had his moments, but you're looking at Bubba Chandler coming up. He's stealing spotlight from all these rookies. But Braxton Ashcraft, man, he's been up here basically longer than majority of these dudes, and I'm rooting for the guy. Now it's kind of wondering what they're going to go into next year with. Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a bulk reliever? Because we all know the injury concerns. Like you said, like I just said, he stayed healthy this year, but it's good to see how he finished this year. And I'm assuming he's not going to be making any more appearances, at least out of the bullpen, maybe, but I don't see that happening, especially him going 4 1/3 today. But yeah, Braxton Ashcraft, great game, even in the loss. It was a great year for the guy.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason why his season gets overshadowed is because when he came up, he was designated as that bulk reliever when I think a lot of people kind of expected him to be a starter. But like you noted, the injury concern is there. So making him a bulk reliever to start kind of made sense, but it kind of was like, aw, like I
Yeah.
wanted him to be a guy. And here he is, kind of becoming that guy. I think you already said it, but 5 strikeouts over 4 and a third. You can't do much better than that. Only giving up 2 runs on a normal lineup, that's a solid outing.
Yeah. Yeah, he balled out today, and he gave the Pirates all he could do to try to win this game. Of course, it came down to a couple doubles and some odd defensive plays at home, a challenge play, a not even close play, which we'll talk about, I'm presuming, in a little bit. But
Yeah.
nothing but props to Braxton Ashcraft. He basically pitched the best he could. He's been giving the Pirates in the last few games at least 3 innings or more, like in this like bulk starter opener role, like more so than an opener, but you know what I mean, like kind of getting these bulk innings, at least getting 3 to 5 innings per outing for a young guy, beg my pardon, who has injury concerns. He thrived this season, and he has actually been a fun little story to watch, and a pitching staff that has thrived this season, and it's been the only really positive thing for the Pirates we have seen this year. And it kind of just furthers the question of like what they are actually going to do with him next year, because they could put him in the rotation, or they could still try to preserve that arm, which I think they probably could do, or I'm leaning to now they maybe should do, because he could be a really, really good bullpen guy to at least pitch multiple innings in bulk relief, or maybe if they just want to make him like this guy who close out games sometimes. But
Yeah.
Braxton Ashcraft, tip of the cap. I was proud of what he did this year. It was really exciting to see out of him.
Yeah, Doug and I talk anytime we're on the post game together. We talk about how this race or this competition that's going to be there next year is so intense, and I think Ashcraft has to be the guy that kind of loses out, but he's still going to be, in my mind, no doubt, he'll be on the 26-man roster going into 2026. But I think he may be one of the guys that falls off and is like, all right, you're the guy that if we need a piggyback game, if we need the bulk innings, or if we need you to close out a game, if we've used, if we use back-to-back nights, Dennis Santana, Isaac Matson, it's nice to go to an Ashcraft if you can. So, like you said, hats off. But now we got to look at Nick Lodolo. And Nick Lodolo is no slouch. He came into this game, I don't know why I said that. I don't know what he came into this game with. But he faces the Pirates, who are already not great at the plate. And he ties his career high in strikeouts. Had a bit of a tiff with Doug in our group chat about that.
Yeah.
But Doug was trying to say that he set his career high. I said, no, he tied his career high. And then Doug said, well, it's his career high nonetheless. And I was like, whatever, Doug. I said K. I sent a GIF. I said K. But anyway, Lodolo ties his career high in strikeouts. First time he's had 12 strikeouts in a game since 2023 against the Phillies, not the Pirates, as everybody else thought in the group chat that it was against the Pirates. It was not. But Lodolo, what an outing. And what a, this Reds team has a great staff. Like, you can't say too many bad things about them.
Yeah, and it sucks to say because I personally hate the Reds, and I think we all
Right.
do. But their pitching staff is very comparable to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Both of them have a lights-out ace, Hunter Green and Paul Skeens. We got to saw them both go at it yesterday. But Lodolo played the perfect role of to stop the bleeding, and he's keeping the Reds season alive. You could easily say that and it's also helped that the Mets have lost being weird, they're being the Mets. The D-backs are somehow still alive. We all thought they were out of it when they traded Suarez and Naylor, but they're still hovering around things, being interesting. So it's going to be interesting how these guys finish. An interesting story about Lodolo. I picked them up to help me in the fantasy baseball playoffs. First game he pitched for my team, allowed 5 earned runs against the Athletics. I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. Second game against the Cubs, 4 earned runs against them and 4 2/3. I'm like, okay, we're only giving me 1 point a game. And I stuck it with him because, I'm like, hey, he's playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's helping me when I needed him the most. He gave me 30 total fantasy points to help me hopefully clinch the championship in my league I'm in. But Nick Lodolo, other than that, stellar. And this is something like if you are a playoff team, if the Reds think they are going to make the playoffs, which they still sadly have a chance, they needed this out of them because if they got swept by the Pirates, no matter what the Mets and D-backs did, like if the Mets somehow lose again to the Cubs, both of these teams lose 2 out of 3 to the teams that they need to beat. And the Reds, I'm pretty sure, have the Brewers next. So this was a must win for the Cincinnati Reds because if they got swept by the Pirates, I don't think the Brewers are going to take it light on them because the Brewers are going to want to play hot going into the playoffs because they're going to have a bye. And we've seen it in the playoffs in the past. The teams with the buys, and people have like started to say there shouldn't be buys anymore because these top seeds just get blown out by the wild card teams. We saw it a couple years ago with the D-backs going all the way. We've seen it before. I think it was the Phillies previously. But like they go in to the teams that have the higher seedings and just they're on fire already. And the teams that are waiting for a week, they're just kind of screwed. So the Brewers, I don't think they're going to take it lightly on the Reds. They're not going to be resting guys. This was a must win for the Reds. I'm happy the Pirates were able to take the series and make it a little bit more difficult. But props to Nick Lodolo, man. He basically said we are not going down without a fight. And it's going to be interesting because I'm not sure if the Brewers are going to have to face Hunter Green either. So this back half of this Reds rotation is going to have to step it up if they want to make the postseason. So,
Yeah, and Lodolo left the game in the 7th with a apparent groin injury, they reported. It was precautionary. They don't think there's anything wrong with him per se. But he did leave the game with an injury, so he didn't really get to finish on a high note. Which, I mean, his whole start was a high note. Yeah. I mean, he's also playing, he's pitching against the Pirates lineup. I mean, whatever he does against us is going to be great. But anyway, let's turn over to the bullpens. Let's look at the Pirates bullpen here. Nicholas came in for an inning and 2/3, pitched great. And Nicholas is a guy that I feel like a lot of people are up and down on him. You know, I believe he has control issues is what people say. I don't know. He's one of the guys that I honestly don't pay too much attention to because he's usually up and down. He's usually, he's not a guy that's a mainstay in this bullpen. And guys like that, I don't really pay too much attention to. But great outing from him. He only let up 1 hit. He had 3 strikeouts. And then he turns it over to Mlodzinski. He comes in, only gives up 1 hit in 2 innings. The Pirates bullpen, once again, just fantastic.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. The bullpen's giving them all the chances in the world to stay in this game, and they're helping out their starters, minus what happened with Santana last night in the 9th inning to the Tyler Stevenson home run. But Nicholas and Mlodzinski did their jobs to give the Pirates all of the chances they could. I mean, the Pirates did score a run in the 8th, but it was just too little too late for them to get back in this one. Because if the Pirates hypothetically could have tied this game or taken the lead, the way the bullpen has looked, we could be talking differently. We could still be in extra innings. Who knows? But yeah, Nicholas, I'm also with you. I'm up and down with him just because like I don't really know how to feel about him because every time he starts out in the big leagues or comes up, it just does not look good. And you see the control issues. But then he'll have outings like this, like 1 2/3 innings, only allowing a hit and striking out 3 guys. His ERA is still at 4.86, but like that could also be inflated from a majority of bad outings. So that's the thing with these bullpen guys. It's going to be interesting. I know I think there was a majority. I haven't really followed his AAA stats as much. I think there was a stretch he wasn't really thriving in the minors this year, but he's back up. He's going to be interesting because I know last year he also kind of pitched like this, but he was a little bit more hot towards the end of the season. And this is kind of the Kyle Nicholas we saw at the end of last year, this exact type of game we saw. If this Pirates bullpen, like we bring it, like people have brought it up, like trading pieces out of this bullpen, they're going to need some of these young guys to be able to step up into those roles, like Kyle Nicholas, like Carmen Mlodzinski, who also, in my opinion, like I'm personally not a guy, you know me, I'm not a big believer in Carmen Mlodzinski, especially as the starter. He's been a great bullpen piece. Like he's been what we think he can be out of the bullpen. He's pitching you multiple innings. He's only allowing 1 or 2 hits, not allowing runs. I mean, he didn't strike out any guys today, but he's at a 3.55 ERA. The way Carmen Mlodzinski started this year, I wasn't expecting that. But like he looks like a very solid bullpen arm for the Buccos. So,
yep. I was going to bring up something, but I looked at the stats and it does not fit what I was about to say. So let's look at the Reds bullpen really quick. This is where the Pirates kind of got a chance. I mean, Garrett, what's his name? Garrett Ashcraft? Is
I
that
think
his
it's
name?
Graham. Graham
Graham Ashcraft. No relation. They brought that up
Yeah.
several times.
Reds
during the
version of
broadcast.
Ashcraft.
The Reds version. He comes in for Lodolo, puts in 2/3 inning of work. He got a strikeout. They get out of that inning, but then they bring in Santillan.
Yeah, I think it's Santillan. I think that's how it's
Santillan.
pronounced.
He comes in and he gives up a run. How exactly did that happen?
It was the
there a
ground out
walk?
to third.
There was a
Horwitz
ground out.
scored.
Right. Horwitz hit the double, and then there's a ground out.
Nick York.
Sorry. Nick York hit a double?
Ground out. Nick York ground out to third base, and Hayes threw it to first instead of home.
Oh, yes. Okay. So that's how we scored.
Yeah, typical Pirates fashion.
Typical Pirates fashion. You think you got a chance, and then come in the ninth. Pagan didn't really need to do much. How many pitches did he even throw? Pagan threw 7 pitches, 4 strikes, and he got him out of the game. It's more so the Pirates bats just not wanting to do anything per usual than it was credit to the Reds bullpen.
Yeah, and Noel V. Marte also robbed Ryan Reynolds of a home run, so we could be a tie game right now, or this game's over in any other way.
Yeah,
but, yeah.
If this was a tie game, this post game would have been interesting. We don't know who would have done it because I got to go to work in 20 minutes. Nathan's the only one available. Who knows what would have happened? I think Neil was lined up, but that's a little peek behind the curtain here.
Yeah, the taxi squad's really hectic today. I was getting called up, sent back down. I didn't know what I was doing on the bench, so very interesting day.
Luckily, the Pirates' offense stinks, and we're here.
Yes.
So let's talk about the Pirates' offense. Let me get back to it. They only collect 3 hits today. It's more of the same here, man. 14 total strikeouts. It was a hard watch, man. This was a hard watch.
Yeah, this team can't hit. I think this is like that. I know that's my first time saying this on a post game. Everyone's had to hear that all year. But what else is there to say about the Pirates offense this season? That has been the theme of this season. Great pitching, awful offense. Player by player strikeout. 2 for Triolo, 2 for Gonzalez, 1 for Reynolds, 1 for Kutch, none for Pham. Good for Pham, but he didn't get a hit. Actually, no, he did have a hit. Bart struck out 3 times. Canario struck out twice. Flores twice. York once. 14 total strikeouts for this Pirates offense. Yeah, not good. It's games like this where it's just so boring to watch. And it's I'd rather see something exciting. If it's going to be like this, let the other team have some crazy offense. Let them hit some dramatic home run. Today, it was just a 2 singles scored in runs for the Reds. It was one of those small ball games, but the Pirates weren't able to really do anything today. There was nothing hit deep into the air. The only guy to really do much was Horwitz. Had the double, was brought up in the chat earlier. Spencer keeps hitting.
Yep.
I'm really high on Spencer Horwitz, and it's great. I like what he's done. I think he can be a very solid first baseman. The only problem is I don't like how he's kind of treated in this platoon role. So it's the fact that a platoon first baseman was the big offseason addition is still kind of it doesn't give me hope that there isn't gonna be anything that happens this offseason. But yeah, this offense needs fix. And it's games like this, people are up and down on Joey Bart versus Henry Davis. Joey Bart will go hot for a week and then strike out 3 times, go 0-for-3 with 3 Ks. So it gets to a point where it's no matter who you plug in this season, it has not worked out. And this is something they desperately need to figure out. And I was thinking when I got home from work, the funniest thing about this offense is I keep forgetting that Daniel Vogelbach is on this hitting staff. He was gone for a while, then he shows up every so often. I think that's how Greg Brown emphasized it. This team hired Daniel Vogelbach to be a hitting guru.
Hitting assistant.
Yeah, hitting assistant. I don't know if that's bad or good, but we saw Danny Burgers on the Pirates. It was Danny Burgers' career, But yeah, he's
I
retired
mean,
for a reason.
I'd
But
put him in the Hall of pretty good.
yeah, Hall of pretty good. But like, is Danny Burgers the answer for the Pirates offense? They need to get some actual guys in here that could give these guys some hitting tips. I don't think and it's not Daniel Vogelbach's fault they can't hit, but
No.
it's like they need a new voice to, get them going.
Well, to your point there, like, yeah, Vogelbach is a part of the hitting staff. It's, Matt Haig is the guy. And I think this goes back to what I think Kutch and Pham both kind of said this about a month ago, maybe sooner. But like these guys are finally buying into the philosophy, right? Like they were starting to hit there, they're starting to get it, they're starting to click, but then it just kind of fell off. And it's like, okay, why do we keep falling off? What's going on that like are they buying in and then it's like, oh well, I'm gonna stop buying it. Like what it just doesn't really make sense, right?
Yeah.
But I can't judge Matt Haig off of 1 year of being head of the hitting staff. I'm gonna need to see more. Maybe after next year, I can be like, he's good, he's bad. But after one season, I can't really make that assumption. And I'm kind of with you. Like Daniel Vogelbach being the assistant there doesn't make sense. I don't know. Are we just giving a guy a job for vibes? I mean, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. I'm only here for vibes.
Yeah.
So like can't get on the guy for that. But at the same time, when are we going to see results? And it always comes down to you need 3 or 4 more bats, and they just aren't going to produce those 3 or 4 bats in house. You need to go get them, and it's the conversation we have all the time.
Yes. And two things like that after hearing you say that. I think the argument has changed from the beginning of the year. We need only 1 bat or 2 bats. They need a lot of bats. They need guys to have better years. Reynolds, Cruz had awful majority of this season after having better previous 2024s. Both have taken drastic step backs. Basically, O'Neill Cruz more so because Reynolds has at least tried to heat up a little bit. So they need both of those guys to get going. And then they need to add a lot more than just 1 bat, even if those guys were to click, because they are not only 1 or 2 bats away. They need to go out and actually do something. But going to the hitting coach or like the hitting philosophy really briefly, I make this argument with the Steelers, really, not to go on a tangent about this, but I feel like coordinators, and I was not an Andy Haynes fan, so I don't want this to sound like I'm defending the guy, but do we treat coordinators and hitting coach, pitching coach, etc. in both sports? Are they like, I feel like fans treat them as the scapegoats and it's not the real like it's always pointing the finger to like, that's the reason why they can't hit, or that's the reason why they can't play defense, as we're seeing with the Steelers right now. I think we need to start pointing the fingers a lot more people at the GM's already getting the fingers pointed at, but he's the one employing this team, making this roster. I don't know if Matt Haig can make Nick York or Alexander Canario, for example. I don't think anyone's making Alexander Canario with his 625 OPS, and it's just crazy how he's lasted the entire season, Cody, on this team. He felt like he was going to be a guy here for just May and June.
Yeah.
But he's lasted all year. I don't think Matt Haig, I don't even think Andy Haynes could make him a, like, at least solid bench bat. It gets to a point where I feel like we as fans, it just gets to a point where it's like, oh yeah, it's Matt Haig's fault. It's Andy Haynes' fault. But like, who's the guy making these decisions to even bring these players in? Because we all like the hitting coaches like haven't fixed anything. And it's just a cycle of, can this hitting coach fix it? Can this hitting coach fix it? And so far, Matt Haig hasn't. But it just gets to furthers the point that I think we all know is Mr. BC ain't really doing a good job.
Yeah, and I agree to an extent, but also it's like, what are they doing? Like, from what we know, they're investing a lot of money into the analytics, right?
Yeah.
So what are they not finding? Like, you're investing all this money, you're hiring more staff in that area, you're hiring people to do this, to figure out how to score more runs in the margins, however you want to put it, whatever. That's where you're investing a lot of your money right now, and it's not translating. So when do you go, hey, let's stop putting our money there, put it back into the roster instead, and make it so that we can afford $100 million roster at least, and like just go get good players instead of just being like, hey, we'll figure out how to make Nick York a really good ball player. We'll figure out how to get Nick Gonzalez back to how well he hit in college. Like, we'll figure out how to make Henry Davis an all-star. Like, at what point do you just say, hey, investing money in analytics isn't working? Let's just go get the guys that have good numbers.
I think that should be figured out already, honestly. Like the fact that we're just sitting here, this is now a 90-loss season. This front office, ever since they've taken over, I brought Noah on my separate channel. I basically reiterated this point. It's a crazy stat here. If the Reds make the playoffs this season, okay, not counting the COVID year, because they made it in the COVID season. I don't want to count that because of 8 teams. If they made it this season, every team in the NL Central would have at least made the playoffs once since Ben Cherington, Travis Williams have joined this commission, even Derek Shelton to an extent, since this entire turnover. That kind of means all these teams have completed or restarted and completed rebuilds. And the time it has taken the Pirates to not even get 80 wins. They have gone a step backwards the last 2 seasons where they finished 76 and 86. Like, personally, my prediction this year was only 82 and 80. Like, you could see the bright spots, but everything has gone wrong, and they are right now 69 and 90. It's another 90-loss season, and it's just crazy that an 82 and 80 prediction of being like, oh, that's not too far-fetched. It's like, I'm not expecting them to be really good, but I'm expecting them to be average enough to be competent to watch, and this is what happened. Now, if the Reds make the playoffs, every team in the NL Central has made the playoffs at least once since Ben, Travis have joined. So it's just showing that, like you said, the investing in the analytics, if that's actually what's going on behind the scenes and they're investing all that money more so than actual players from outside the organization, that's an issue because it's clearly not working to their benefit. And just hoping your guys succeed, like putting out Sawinski, putting out Bay, even though he didn't play today, but like seeing Bay late September, no other team in this division does that except for the Pirates. No other team in the league besides maybe the Rockies like would put out a Ji-hwan Bae or a Jack Sawinski at this, or Alexander Canario, for example. He's still starting games for the Pirates. Like, I want to see some of these young guys play in the minor leagues, but where are these young guys? There's not many options.
But even, I mean, Jack had a nice hit last night
Yeah.
to keep us in the game, but like, he can't do it on a consistent enough basis to be on this squad for 160 games. Like, it's just, excuse me.
And just looking at,
No, go ahead.
And just looking at the lineup really quick, the mainstays that have played the most this season, just looking at their OPS really quick. Giriolo, 670. Now, he has gotten hot a little bit, but I'll give him credit for that. I'm not really as big of a believer if Jared Triolo can keep that going as DiNardo is, I know, for example.
That's my good friend, Jared Triolo. So
Nick Gonzalez is definitely cooled off. He's at a 665. Brian Reynolds has gotten over that 700 hump, so that's one guy in the 700s is 718. Kutch is borderline. He's at 699. Pham started to cool off very well. He's at 693. Bart, 697. Canario is now part of that with 625 OPS. Horwitz with a 756. He's been probably the best offensive piece, in my opinion, so far. I kind of wish he wasn't hurt all year because I actually want to see how Horwitz would have done. Sawinski I'd count as a mainstay because he was here at the beginning of the year, 528 OPS. That's 2 guys in this lineup that actually have an OPS over 700 that are mainstays to this Pirates team all year. That is not good.
Yeah. Nope. And the problem is, like, we're talking about reinforcements and hoping people are good. As of right now, your reinforcements are guys that haven't even played an at-bat in AAA.
Yeah.
Like, this team is almost hoping that Connor Griffin is ready to start on this team opening day, which, sure, I'd love that as a fan. I'd love to see him in the majors on opening day. But as someone who watches and follows baseball, I don't think that's the smartest thing you can do. You know, I would like to see him get a few at bats in AAA before jumping to the majors. And then as well as you also have as Merlin Valdez, who he's a little behind Griffin, but he has the power. Like you've seen the power with him, and he's a guy I especially want to see get AAA at bats. But it's at the point now where these guys are performing so well in the minors that you're almost like, well, why don't we just bring them up now? I've been saying that all year, but that's because I was worried about the hitting and like, the philosophy and like, how are they going to ruin these guys if they come up? But now it's to a point where it's like, well, they're the only ones doing it in the organization. So why not just let them come up? And it almost feels like that's what Cherington and this front office want to do. And it's like, you can't do that. Like, that's not really how this works. And I mean, hey, if you gamble on it and it works, good for you. You made a great gamble. But I wouldn't gamble with these guys' futures. I wouldn't gamble with Connor Griffin's future. I wouldn't gamble with Merlin Valdez's future. I'd maybe gamble on Termarr Johnson's future, but that's only because I think he's not going to be as good as we all thought he could have been. And it's just like, he's another bat in the lineup, and he can play second base. So like, there you go. You got infield depth.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It's just like that's what they're hoping for, and it really feels like that's what they want to do, and that's what I believe at the end of this season, Ben Cherington is going to go to Bob Nutting and say, "Hey, I know this year didn't pan out as well as we thought. We were worse than we were last year, but next year we'll be better." It's like, where's my hat? Where is it? Oh, shit.
Down goes the broom. Oh.
This is what Ben Cherington's going to walk into that meeting with. He's going to walk into that meeting with this hat on saying the Pittsburgh Pirates will be better next year.
Yeah, I'll rock that one as well. It's okay. You can wear this hat every year. It
that's
never
the
goes
only
away.
That's the only thing he can go in there with, because they aren't getting better. But he can be like, "Hey, we might do it. We might get better." It's just not going to happen.
Like you said, the only bats in this organization to be excited about are literally Connor Griffin as Merlin Valdez and slightly Termarr Johnson. They're in Double-A and have yet to play Triple-A baseball. Edward Florentino is still in Low-A. He's yet to hit High-A. The future looks bright, I guess, but not for a while. Don't
get me wrong. Rafael Flores has impressed me as well.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I know when we made the trade, I kind of agreed with Ryan and Neil that like this isn't what we should have gotten for David Bednar, but I was happy to get Rafael Flores. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's going to be a great player, but I think he'll be good. He'll be a mainstay in this lineup at some point. But it's like he's only had how many at-bats in the majors? And you're kind of just hoping, he's going to be our platoon first baseman next year with Spencer Horwitz.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Like, what?
I'm rooting for Flores. I feel like they gave Flores the worst situation ever because I was frustrated with that Bednar trade, but like hearing Ben say, and we all have heard the quotes, like they had better offers and he took the quantity over the quality. I'm rooting for Flores, but like he's been given the tough end of this situation because fans are going to be expecting a lot out of Flores to be that, because everyone's like, we need the bat.
Yeah.
And this is the top prospect, the top hitting one they got out of Flores. Now I'm believing in Flores. I like the swings he's taken. I mean, he does have this chase rates. He did strike out twice today on some ugly swings, and I think that's going to be the growing pains with Flores. He at least
was facing Nick Lodolo.
Yeah, that is true. The whole team was chasing today.
That's the caveat there.
Yeah. But the thing with Flores, like he at least, like I was thinking about this joke with my buddies, he at least seems like he has a personality. Like he looks fun to follow. He was really happy. Like you could tell he was hyped to be on this team. And whenever a guy like Henry Davis called up, it's just robot. Like, I'm happy to be here. I am so, like Brian Reynolds too. Like, I don't know. I'm really happy to be on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Something like that. Flores is like being goofy. He's loving it. He's making friends with the reporters already. Like he seems like a fun guy to root for. It's nothing on him. Ben Cherington did this to him, but I'm rooting for the guy. But this team, man, this offense is going to be interesting. It's going to be an off season of let's sign this guy, let's trade for this guy, and it's going to be like a Tommy Pham-esque signing and like before spring training. I'm not getting my hopes up. I've learned that over the years. So
yeah, no, you said you predicted them to be 82-80.
I thought that was
very generous.
Yeah, that was my most generous. Like I didn't see this team as a 100-loss team. I was like, they're not losing 100 games with Paul Skeens.
I go back to spring training, and there were a lot of, I was interacting with some people that were waiting to get autographs, and they're like, what do you guys think they're going to do this year? And I just came out, I said, there's 74 wins at best. And everybody looked at me like, huh? Like, how do they not get better this year? And I'm like, do you see, they didn't add to the offense, so they're not going to do much better. And it looks like I'm going to be right.
Hey,
like,
if
I understand wanting to be optimistic, but sometimes you got to be realistic. Like, usually I go to spring training with the guys and I'm very optimistic. This past year was the first time I went there and I was like, this is going to suck.
Yeah. What stinks is if they somehow sweep the red hot Braves, you're 1 win shy of that 74. They'd be at 73 wins.
Right. So I'm not even going to get my number right.
Yeah. The Braves right now, 9 of their last 10 they've won. So they're catching the Braves at the worst time possible. So this could be a very solemn end of the year. So,
yeah. Well, I think we've talked enough here, Nathan.
What a game. Good.
How was your first post game?
I think I had a lot of fun. I hope to do some more of these in the future. So I'm glad to get called up off the taxi squad in the emergency fashion. I didn't know I was going to be on until literally about 30, 40 minutes ago. So I was sitting in here. I was thinking Neil was going to show up and send me back down to the minor leagues, but he didn't show up. So I'm here.
Well, I certainly enjoyed having you here. You kept me on track. You carried me through my flu game. But yeah, once again, the Pirates fall to the Reds 2-1. Nick Lodolo ties his career high in strikeouts. Late call, just like the Pirates.
They're manipulating my service time over here. I don't know. Jim and
really
Bernardo
are.
waited till September.
I love it. But yeah, that'll do it for us. What Bucko Mike say? Bucks lose 3, hit my magic number 93 losses. Well, anyway, we're going to get out of here. I got to go to work. I don't know what Nathan's doing, but
thank you, Bucko Mike. I'm going back to AA Uniontown.
I love it. All right, folks. We'll catch you later. Have a good one.
See ya.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.